Hello, welcome to Geography Unit 1. In this lesson, we're going to be learning about three different ways that we can organize information. Okay, we're going to look at pie charts, bar graphs, and line graphs. Okay, so throughout this semester and next semester, we're going to be studying geography, we're going to be studying economics, and we're going to be studying history. Okay? We're going to be presented with a lot of information. Okay? That information may be in the form of writing. Okay? So you may get a big paragraph or a big section of text with a lot of information. Now, sometimes that information is hard to process just by looking at it written down in a text. Okay, in your textbook or in the notes that I give you. So it's beneficial, it's a good thing for us to learn how to organize that information so that we can look at it. The information, if it's organized visually, sometimes it's easier for our brains to process. Okay, so I'm going to show you different ways that we can organize information, all right, or different ways that geographers and economists organize information for us to view, okay? And we need to know how to interpret that information. Okay, so we need to be familiar with these different ways of organizing information. All right, so the first way to organize this information visually is with a pie graph. All right, so a pie graph, as it says here, shows how a whole is divided into parts. And I'm sure you've seen this in your math class before. Okay, just got like a circle, like a pie, okay, and it's cut up into different sections to represent different parts of a whole. All right, so as it says here, a circle represents the whole, and wedges represent the individual parts. Okay, so it's cut up kind of like a pizza. This type of graph works really well when you've got information that's in percentages. Again, percentages, of course, indicate parts of a whole. All right, so if you've got 70% on a test, that means 70% out of 100% was correct. All right, so here's our example here, recommended diet. Okay, so somebody has made a pie graph about what you should eat to be healthy. Okay, they say your diet should consist of 30% fruit, right? 23% protein. Let's see, 18% vegetables. Okay, out of a whole of 100%, right? Okay, so now I bolded in my slides. I bolded the key words. So if I give you a question, and in the question it says, please organize this information in the appropriate way, or something along those lines. If I give you percentages, okay, you know that those percentages are part of a whole, so you should represent that information using a pie graph. So percentages is the key word here. Okay, remember, when you create your own graphs, be they pie graphs or tables or bar graphs, you must always have a title. Okay, so I've got a complete slide here. That's how important it is. Okay, you must add a title to every kind of graph, chart, or table that you draw or create. Okay, the next kind of graph, bar graphs. You can use these for representing data that's presented in different categories. Okay, so categories is the key word here. All right, so it says especially when numbers are not given in percentages. Okay, we've got two axes. All right, we've got the y and the x-axis. The horizontal axis, meaning the one that goes from side to side, is the x-axis. The vertical axis, the one that goes up and down, is the y-axis. Okay, so what example do we have here? All right, if I ask the class what your favorite sports are, some of you might say soccer or football. Okay, so I'd take a tally. I'd write down the number of students that preferred soccer versus the students that preferred tennis or baseball, etc. Okay, I take a tally, and because that information is presented in different categories, the categories being different sports, then the best way to represent that information is with a bar graph. Okay, so again, here's my example, favorite sports. We've got the different categories, soccer, basketball, tennis, hockey, and baseball. Okay, and the bars are separate. Okay, you can see there's a space between each bar when I represent it on the bar graph. Now, notice that there are labels on the side. Okay, we've got number of people and kinds of sports. All right. When you draw a bar graph or a line graph that we'll study next, you need a label. I need to know what this information represents, what these numbers mean. Okay, so these numbers mean the number of people who like what? Each kind of sport. What kind of sports are represented on the bottom. So again, keyword here for bar graphs, categories. All right. Again, here are my labels. I must label both the y and the x-axis when I draw my bar graph. Okay, and the last way to represent information that we're going to learn in this lesson is the line graph. Okay, line graphs show trends, so basically change over time or lack of change. All right, so they show trends. So trends is the key word here. Okay. The y-axis usually shows amount, and the x-axis usually represents time. It can be in days, months, hours, seconds. Okay, depending on the information that you're representing. So if you look at my muffins sold line graph, I have a title, of course, so we know what we're looking at here, although this S should be capitalized. I've labeled my axes, number of muffins sold here, and the days on the bottom. Okay, so on Monday, sold about 5 muffins. All right, Tuesday, sold 6 muffins. Okay, and then you can see there's an upward trend. I've been selling more and more muffins. My muffins are getting more and more popular as the days go by. So I can easily see that I'm doing well in regards to my muffin sales simply by looking at this graph. Okay. You can think about prices in the stock market. They go up and down over time. Gold prices. Here's another example here of a line graph. Okay, you can see the price of gold valued in USD per ounce here was much lower in 2010 than it was in 2012. So there was an upward trend for a couple of years, but then between about 2013 and 2016, you can see there was a downward trend, and you can see where it goes up and down. That is, the value of gold goes up and down over time. Okay, so something like this might tell you whether it's a good idea to invest in gold, to buy some gold and put it away for the future, or maybe to hold off on buying gold, or perhaps to sell the gold that you have, okay, just by looking at this line graph and determining the trends. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Thank you very much for listening.